We are so privileged and grateful to have Dr. Senait Fisseha with us this morning to deliver our keynote address. Dr. Fisseha is a scholar and a global leader in reproductive health and reproductive rights, especially in developing countries. Can we please all welcome Dr. Fisseha to the stage?
Good morning. Moramutse. Thank you, moderator, and the African Leadership University, as well as Fred and all others for inviting me. More importantly, the students who thought that I may have something meaningful to share. All of you in this room, especially those who founded ALU, your commitment to cultivating young leaders is so inspiring. So I'm truly, profoundly honored to be here. And because of that, I took a flight from Koh Samui to Bangkok to Addis to Kigali and arrived at 1 a.m. because there was no way I was going to miss this. Graduates of the class of 2023, we have come together today to celebrate your hard work and accomplishments leading up to this moment. But even more, to celebrate the future that is possible because of you. You have been through a lot, we heard from our CEO, in your personal journeys and your collective ones. When you were rushed off this campus 3 years ago, I am sure no one thought, see you in 2023. And yet, here you are back in person for this graduation for the first time. As much as no one could have predicted your journey, no one would have predicted your journey would look like this. Times of great disruption also are opportunities for radical transformation. Transformation is certainly afoot on this continent, and you are the people who lead it forward. This is not a small responsibility. So today, I want to talk to you about purpose, power, and perseverance. Purpose to guide you, power to drive you, and perseverance to keep you moving forward. So let's start on purpose. I often say, sure, many of you in this room have heard me before, I'm Ethiopian by birth, American by chance, and Rwandan by choice. And that makes a few important transitions in my life which have defined my purpose. I grew up in Ethiopia, a deeply religious and conservative society where a path for a girl like me was very narrow. But I was very fortunate to have a father who was ahead of his time. I was very young when I lost him, but I knew, very early on, he prioritized the education of his children, particularly his daughters. He also embraced the outspoken and advocate, loud girls that he had, who were always fighting for this or that. So in our household, fighting for gender equality and for women's rights was a very common discussion, and we were never told to be quiet. Despite my home environment, however, I saw the sufferings of women all around me. Women getting married early, women facing genital mutilation, women dying from childbirth, or managing complications of unsafe abortion because they've become pregnant again and again when they didn't want to have more children. And as I'm sure it rings true for some of you as well, many of the girls I went to school with did not follow my trajectory of getting a JD and an MD. Many of them got married very early, who are teen moms and have had many more children that they would have desired if they had their reproductive autonomy. So I was very lucky to go to college in the United States, and that was how I became American by chance. As much as this was a cultural transition, my purpose was very, very clear. I trained as an OB-GYN and a lawyer, and split my time between working as an IVF doctor in the United States and strengthening reproductive health and reproductive choice and training in universities and colleges across Africa and other parts of the world. At the core of what I was doing then and what I do now at the Buffett Foundation is reproductive choice and gender equality, helping every woman, every girl realize their rights to their bodily autonomy, to their life, regardless of who they are, where they are from, or how much money they have. For those of you who followed the Dobbs decision in the United States, oftentimes people think this is an issue of poor countries, and it absolutely is not. The attack on women's rights and gender equality is a global phenomenon. So I share this with you not to say my purpose should be your purpose. You have spent the last several years defining your mission, and we heard about the bakery, right? So that's gonna stay with me. But my hope is to give you the confidence that you can build a career and a life around whatever your mission is. Purpose also is not just what you do, it's how you do it. As I got deeper in the field of global health, I witnessed how deep racism and legacies of colonialism permeated development as we know today. For so long, global health and development has been driven by people who live in the global north, who have not only the questions, but the answers to the problems that we're trying to solve in our continent. So with the onset of COVID, the death of George Floyd, and the subsequent racial reckoning, which rapidly spread around the world, I decided I could no longer stand by the blatant imbalance of power, that I needed to move back to the continent. So here in Rwanda, I continue to work on reproductive health, gender equality, the right to health, things that we take for granted. But I'm relentlessly focused on doing it in a way that can build our continent's systems, institutions, and resiliency, and ultimately free ourselves from depending on external actors. And frankly, that's what ALU stands for. So let's shift to power. With purpose defined, you can realize your power. And not just the power that someone gives you, but the power you have within you to demand change. You are graduating during a time of radical transformation for our continent, our countries, and the world, frankly. The pandemic, the global pandemic, showed us with stark clarity the limit of international institutions and international solidarity. COVID, of course, was not the first time that we've witnessed these inequities, but it was an acute reminder of the global system is not designed to deliver for this continent. So as painful as this was to witness, I believe the continent has emerged stronger today than where we were 3 years ago. We are stronger because there is clear consensus that we must build the capacity to deliver for our people. This does not mean foregoing partnership. As you look around the room, you can see the people and the institution Fred and others have leaned on to bring ALU into reality. But it does mean keeping in mind the long-term objective of self-sufficiency. We are stronger because we showed the world that African institutions like Africa CDC, the African Center for Disease Control, can actually manage a pandemic as well as other institutions. And we are stronger because we have changed the conversation, the global conversation, to insist that our institutions, our priorities, and our people must be the center of decision-making for this continent. So it seems like such an obvious point when I say this out loud. But we all know that has not been the case. So outside of health, where I spend most of my time, we're also seeing countries from the global south coming together to demand change in the systems that were not built for us and yet play a critical role in our development. You can look at, for example, the leadership of Prime Minister Mia Mottley of Barbados currently, and the coalition of global south countries that she's brought together demanding the transformation of global financing institutions and multilateral development banks to better meet our needs. So this is the moment you're stepping into. And the moment you will start defining your own careers and pathways. I know this class is ready to take some of the continent's and the world's biggest challenges, whether it is digitalizing all African languages, increasing cardiac care and other health services, making e-commerce available to all, finding ways to make international trade more sustainable, or expanding tourism as a means for cultural preservation and economic development. Coming out of ALU, I hope you know you have the power, the privilege, and the platform to effect change. And that matters more now than it ever has. So in whatever you do, refuse to accept the status quo. We just cannot continue to do things the same way. A more just and equitable world is actually possible. But it is on us, and now you, to make that change a reality. So that's your power. Don't forget that. So let's talk about perseverance. Now, I won't pretend that creating a more just and equitable world is an easy task. I mean, you have professors sitting at the stage, people next to you who've been relentlessly tackling this. It is not an easy task. The challenges we have ahead of us are great, and you will face roadblocks, many roadblocks. So addressing these inequities in systems require someone giving up power. And power is not given up very easily. This is where perseverance comes in. Not every door will open, and you will have to fight for your place in some rooms. And when you get to those rooms, you will have to look around to see who's still missing and fight for them. Just because you are in the room, it doesn't mean that so many who look like you will be included. This can be painful and exhausting. I know this because so many times I'm the only one in the room. Right? So you have to keep that with you. Let that sit with you. But this is the only way we can achieve progress. The good news is that you have already shown your ability to persevere. And you are surrounded by peers who, like you, are driven to think, act, and mobilize in ways we never have before. So when you lose momentum, call them, rely on them, pick each other up, and continue fighting. No true leader exists on their own. This is one of the most important things I hope you take away from ALU, in addition to all the things that you've been asked to remember, and the tools you have in your toolbox. You will also find there is opportunity in places where you least expect it. So with your tenacity and persistence, however slowly, you can be the transformation needed to create a future we all of us in this room, not just you, want for this continent. So, as I conclude, I want to pause. Graduates, for the next 15 seconds, I want you to look around you. Honor the people, your family by choice, your tribe, family by birth, people who sacrificed, who supported you to get you here. And please give them a round of applause. I also want you to look at your classmates. and note the people who inspire you, the people who have and will support you, the people you will call, WhatsApp or FaceTime when you need someone to remind you of your potential to change not only this continent, but your potential to change the world. So in this 15 seconds, acknowledge them, make eye contact with them, give them a handshake, a pat on the back, and standing here today or sitting here today, commit that you will be there for each other. Yes. So graduating class of 2023, if there is one thing I hope to leave with you today, it is to believe in your purpose, your power, and your perseverance. I have the utmost confidence in each and every one of you, and I know you will leave your mark on this continent and make it a better place for all of us. And I look forward to hearing stories of your success, and most of all, I hope to meet you again along the way. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for this privilege.